Hey everyone, and welcome to the Back to Backlog podcast with myself, Lindsay, and
Sam.
today we're going to be talking about some fighting games. But
Yeah.
first, Sam, what did you play?
So I got to play some Stray, which was wonderful and adorable. I loved running through this cyberpunk
Kitties.
city and messing up people's stuff and pushing paint cans over and then curling up next to some robot and having my controller purr at me. That was super, super cute. And then I got super obsessed with Sifu, which is like, it's a kung fu game. It's a beat 'em up. It's kind of like a roguelite like. So every time you die, your death counter goes up, and then you age by that amount. And you can like do things to lower your death counter so you don't age as fast, but you can't like reverse time because he's got some magic talisman that lets him come back from the dead a little bit older every time, and he's trying to get revenge and stuff. And I don't know, the goal is just to like perfect each level so that you've died the least amount of time, because you go into the next level at whatever age you ended the previous level at. So like every bit of aging compounds upon the next level. So like the first time I got to the final level, I was like 60 and I had like 10 years of age left before the final charm piece broke and then you actually die. So I had to go back to like the first level, and like I beat that without dying once so that I could start the second level with more life left, and that I could do better at the next one. And it just snowballs, and you just end up having to get good, especially at dodging. It's really, really addictive. It's hard, but I really liked it. And then I played a little bit of the new Half-Life 2 VR mod, which it's definitely not like, it wasn't made for VR. It's not polished like a Half-Life Alyx, but it's a really neat experiment. It's a really cool thing from the community. And again, it's another example of a cool community project that Valve is just chill about letting just live on the Steam store. They're like, yeah, of course, why not? Which is awesome. And then I've been reading a bit more of the Heaven's Vault novelizations, and it's veered off from where the game story was, so that was really cool. Yeah. What have you been playing?
The normal Apex Fortnite shooters with friends and stuff. But then I broke out something from my backlog. I brought Okami I played it on my Steam Deck.
Nice.
Docked to my TV with my new dock.
Woo! Glad you got that working.
The first one I bought, yeah, I know, because the first one I bought didn't work. But this one's fine, so it's 100% the dock.
Nice.
So, and I can't imagine this game being fun on the computer because you have to like track draw a little bit.
Oh, so you got to use the touchscreen, or?
I don't remember how I think I used the I didn't use the little touch thingy. I wonder if the touchscreen would work.
Oh, you probably used the trackpads though, yeah.
I think so. I either used the trackpad or I just used the little thumbstick.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't remember how they wanted you to do it, but
yeah, I just remember it way back on the Wii with, pointing it and drawing.
Yeah, I can imagine it being harder for the Wii because, I mean, the motion controls for the Wii were okay, but like they wanted to be pretty precise.
Gotcha.
And I remember certain games on the Wii like wanting things to be precise and it just taking forever. But yeah, it's been fun. Yep. It's like I really like the art style, the kind of like 3D painted style. I really like it.
Yeah, it's a really pretty game. It's it's like a Zelda-ish adventure, right? Like
it's where you're like a little wolf god.
That's neat.
Yeah, I really like it. So I plan on probably finishing that.
Cool. And then listeners, we got to playing the Anacrusis together, and despite the previous time I had being pretty positive,
Crash City.
man, and it was just kind of laggy, and it's just the same issues I had the
It
first
was
time
rough.
playing it. I feel like the good time I had the other time was like the rare exception. I don't know what's going on with the Anacrusis, but it's just
Yeah.
the servers aren't good or something. That must be it.
I don't know. I really like the design, and I wish it had more in-game items and guns and stuff because there's only a
Mm,
couple. And I feel like that's really what makes a game like that fun is like finding different guns, finding like weird items
yeah, I like
to
the matter
use.
compiler, how that like changes the game halfway through. I like some of the levels that we didn't end up getting to see. But like the guns are a bit weak sauce, and like I get that they're sci-fi, but they just don't have the kind of punch that a lot of other games guns
You think
have.
but like if you think of sci-fi, like I think like Alien, like there's a bunch of different guns in that universe. Well, I guess
Mm,
it's this universe just in the future, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
Or like Firefly, where you see a lot of different types of guns.
yeah,
So I think, like, I don't think it's the genre. I think it's probably just because it's in early development and they don't have that many guns yet.
yeah. So it's still a little rough, but it's really pretty.
I still have hope. I
Yeah.
have hope.
I mean, we still own it, so we can always check up on it in a few months' time, I guess.
Exactly.
If the next major update drops,
Mm-hmm.
if they've bought more servers or not. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, anyway, so I guess the rest of the
Ready to
stuff.
fight?
Oh my god, I'm so ready to throw down on these fighting games. Yeah, I got a lot of chances to play a lot of these fighting games,
Mm-hmm.
and not just by myself, but like with people, and that was awesome because that's the best way to play fighting games is with
It is.
other humans. Because yeah, no matter how good the AI will be, it's not going to be the same. It just isn't. And I was really excited because while we were doing all of our research, the Polygon video about getting into fighting games dropped, and it was super good. And I actually watched some. I watched that, and I watched some like fighting game YouTubers like commenting on it, basically going, "Yeah, this is a good video," and agreeing. Kind of a lot of good talking points of like, the best character in any fighting game is the one that you think is the coolest because it's the one that you're gonna actually spend the time to invest in playing. Like it doesn't like the meta isn't as important as your investment. Like it's not quite like, oh, which Smash Brothers character is the same, like, or is the coolest. Like I don't know. It was really fun. It's interesting, and it got me jazzed for more fighting games.
My
Uh,
favorite characters are always the weird ones that like are very off-putting and people are like disturbed to
the
watch.
science experiments.
Yeah, exactly. Because people get weirded out by them, and then they're like, "Oh God, why does it move like
Yeah,
that?"
it's a good mind game. It's a good mind
It
game.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like those.
It's funny. I a lot of the times I end up picking like the small girls because they always end up being faster,
Hmm.
and I do like a little bit of zip. Um, I'm not good with the slower, beefier characters like like your Astaroths or your Balrogs or
Goro,
whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm much better.
Mutaro.
That is such a banger. Oh my gosh. The Mortal Kombat theme with the like the shout outs to all the characters is so hype. It's so hardcore. It's
Yeah.
great. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think the first fighting game that I ended up playing was just kind of on my path towards celebrating the Dot Hack anniversary, and it's absolutely silly. And I probably mentioned it earlier, but yeah, Dot Hack versus the last Dot
We
Hack game
we
that
played this one together, right?
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was the arena fighter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We tried out a couple of the characters here and there. I did play it a lot more. So I played it by myself a lot because I played through the story mode because there's an English patch. So I played that on my Steam Deck and got through the whole
Yep.
story mode and that story mode was like a
Yeah.
follow up to Dot Hack Link's story even, which is interesting. And then when you beat it, you unlock like a 20-minute anime, which is like super good. It was very like Ghost in the Shell ish. And I was like, oh my god, why isn't there a whole series? Why is this just a 20-minute short? And that's the end of the franchise before they like rebooted it as like a mobile game a couple times. Like for traditional games, like this is the last thing for that franchise, which is it's weird. It's interesting. It was really cool, but then it was like, oh, that's it. But yeah, it's a cool 3D arena game. There's a small selection of characters, but they're all like big important characters from across the franchise. You can play as Kite and Ovan and Mimiru, Haseo, and then the girls from the OVA, and then the girls from the movie.
I feel like I would have had an easier time with this game with the English patch.
Oh, 1,000%. And because we were playing it, when we played it together, we played it on the PS3 with my legit copy, and that's in Japanese. And we couldn't find like which one was the rematch button, so we ended up like watching a replay for like a minute before figure out how to quit out. Hilarious. But yeah, no, it's a lot.
And you kept having to give me context clues about like the because there's like like I couldn't figure out how to do anything.
I know. Oh, and it does help to go through the story mode because they teach you like everything with the tutorials and all that, right?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, for as old as it is too, it is really cool. Like it's a really cool concept. It's got really cool mechanics with the like the charge mechanics.
Yeah, overall it's a really, really like well made game. Like I was surprised how much I liked the mechanics because like you by performing like good fighting game actions, or sometimes they'll store some energy and like objects you can break around the scene, but like you build up your energy meter kind of like a Street Fighter would, but like your super moves, quote unquote, are a lot easier to pull off. Basically, so you have the regular attacks on the button pad, and then if you hold R1 you get all your special attacks, and then if you charge up your meter most of the way, you can access a transformational move on like R1, and a lot of the characters will transform to a more powerful, faster, more interesting, more hard-hitting version of themselves. And if you charge it all the way, which is actually kind of hard to maintain and keep up, and also like you can pull off like your ultimate move, but like any of your regular special moves, like you have to land it. You still have to land it. Like you can't just do the ultimate move.
I missed every time.
Oh my god, I'm so
I think
sorry.
it landed once.
Yeah, I think it was like, all right, she needs to be able to experience. Let me run into this a little.
Let her punch me.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, I wanted you to experience the full gamut of the game more than I cared about winning.
Well, and I think what I like about it too is that like you have a lot of health, and like the moves do a fair amount of damage too, so it like all feels pretty meaningful.
Yeah, and I really liked the combo breaker.
Balanced.
Like there's a combo breaker that you can pull off, and I forget the button combo now. But it uses up your charge meter. It uses up your charge meter. It uses up your charge meter, so that, like you can't just spam combo break. So like it's a risk reward mechanic. Like it's not just purely great. It's not like, it's a little bit kind of like how the like Smash Brothers shield is like, oh yeah, you can use it, but it's gonna go away sort of thing. But it eats into your ability to use your special moves, which is, I don't know, it's really cool. I mean that final boss, like the difficulty curve in the single player was really good. Like it really eased you like nicely along. It got harder and harder. That final boss was like just beatable if I chose the right character, which was cool. It was nice. So surprising, weird, Japanese only 2012 PS3 game that came on a movie disc. But I guess we can talk about some more traditional fighters, because then I went and with my buddy Michelle, I played a whole bunch of fighting games, and then later on you came over and we played a lot of some of the same fighting games, and then a couple new ones that you had brought with you that I hadn't experienced. So I think the main ones I played a lot of, especially the first time through with Shell, was the Tekken series, especially Tekken 7, because that's the current release. I remember growing up with my brothers, we played a lot of Tekken 4, and Tekken 4 has like a side story single player beat 'em up, interestingly. I played a lot of Tekken 4 growing up, and then I played a lot of the PSP version of Tekken 5 in college.
Oh, nice.
And
I can see that translating really well to the PSP.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely remember my hands cramping after like beating it, but and I really like Tekken 7. I really like the hype. I wish I had like let the intro reel play when you were over, because that intro reel is just like the Mishima family's like war that has broken out, destroying like the whole world. Like, it's ridiculous. The fighting game. It's the fighting game whose story is all about how this horrible family has just completely just ruined the world. Like the famously, the first Tekken starts off with Heihachi Mishima throwing his son Kazuya off of a cliff, like as a kid, to see if the kid was worthy of his bloodline, which is so dumb. Yeah, so I really, really, really like. I don't know. Tekken's just one of my favorites, and I like playing as Horong. I like playing as Xiaoyu. Yeah, and it's the franchise that has like the bear and the panda bear and like the YouTuber star and like the well, I guess there's a couple series with hilarious like chubby blonde Texans. It's the American in the game, who go way
Oh no.
who go way too quickly than you'd expect. And Yoshimitsu is an interesting weirdo to play as. And yeah, that leads me to the other game that has Yoshimitsu, or I guess his like ancestor, like they're related and they just have the same name. It's also like Yoshimitsu is also the name of the cursed sword that they carry, which is Soul Calibur. And Soul Calibur is Tekken, but with weapons. And critically, because my brain took forever to remember this and get used to it, Tekken you block by walking away from your enemy. Soul Calibur you block by a button. So, yeah. And Soul Calibur is awesome just because of all. I don't know. I do like all the characters. I like all their weapons. I like Ivy. She's just. I like her sword. Like, I just love that chain sword. It's so interesting.
Like Ivy a lot.
I do suck at her, but it's a character I would love to learn to get better at. I definitely do better with other characters like Akilik, or I'm really good with Mitsurugi, despite like, Mitsurugi's okay, And then Tekken 6 was really cool because it had Geralt as the guest character.
Yeah.
Because I think Soul Calibur 5 had like the Star Wars characters like
Yoda
and
Xbox,
Vader and Starkiller.
360 and PS3. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, famously, right? So the first Soul Calibur I played a ton of on the Dreamcast, and like on the little VMU, you get like a chibi version of the character you're playing as, on the screen on your controller, which is great. But famously, Soul Calibur 2 everyone played because that was the one that had the PS2 with Heihachi, the GameCube had Link, and the Xbox had Spawn.
Yeah, that was the first one I played for PS2.
Mm-hmm.
The first Soul Calibur.
Yeah, that was ridiculous because it had Heihachi's like weird diaper outfit.
Oh yeah.
Which is just like the worst look, but
unless if you want to disturb people, and then it works out pretty well.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Speaking of disturbing, I'm sure this is your favorite character from Soul Calibur.
Voldo. To be fair, when I picked him, I didn't realize that his full ass was out in the new game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The creepy.
I mean, like, he's always been like a weird string bean.
Right.
But, like, I don't know, like, it's like his whole butt's hanging out. Like, there's a lot of butt.
The weird BDSM, constantly moonwalking character. My gosh.
Like, I do like the way he moves because it's just so weird and unsettling.
Yeah, and I really like So like I love the combos in Tekken personally. I'm really good at them. I like them a lot. I think the Soul Calibur is a lot of the stuff I find a lot easier to pull off. Like I really like playing as Shang Fa because she has her like double back fist that's like this cool like sword parry thing that just thrusts at the enemy. And I don't know, I have a great time with it. I don't know. I like the combos in the Bandai Namco games.
I think Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat are my two favorites out of all of them. I mean, I'm really bad at Street Fighter too, as you saw.
Oh my. Yeah, so Street Fighter, I feel like Street Fighter has a lot of similar combos set up to Tekken without like the 3D movement. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
like
don't know
it does
I
demand
have
a
such a
lot.
hard time with it.
I think Street Fighter demands a lot of you, especially because it's 2D. There's a lot of those like down circle moves where you have to like do your inputs on the directional pad just so. So like you crouch forward punch. And like, man, if you can't get the down circle punch, then like you can't do the Hadoken or a lot of moves. And so a lot of those just require a lot more technical like specificity to get, which can be a pain in the butt, especially if you haven't played a ton. I think I played a bunch of Street Fighter Alpha 3 growing up. And we played a bunch of Marvel versus Capcom 2, which is like almost the same engine as
Yeah, it's like
Alpha
the same
3.
engine.
Yeah. I did so I did try to play some of the older Street Fighters like Street Fighter 2 and Alpha 1 and Alpha 2. Which I find the fact they have like many Street Fighter series really confusing because they have like Street Fighter Turbo, Street Fighter Super, Street Fighter Alpha, and like they're all like I'm like why are these different? And I guess technically they're timeline wise, but I guess they're just to sell more cabinets really. Um, I think Alpha 3 is probably just the one. Third Strike. That's right. They have First Strike, Second Strike, Third Strike. Third Strike was really good because it introduced some really interesting characters. Like the cast was almost completely different, with the exception of like a couple like fan favorites like Chun Li and Ken and Ryu. They had like a bunch of weirdo characters, like this weird, I don't know, ghosty dude, and like really lanky in a trench coat and a mask. The weird, I don't know. They had a lot of weird characters, but I think that's where they introduced the the ninja character and the like straight up kendo girl. And those were really cool characters. I did end up playing some Street Fighter 4 afterwards. After we had called it a night, I found my copy of Street Fighter Alpha 4. I'm sorry, Street Fighter 4 for the PS3. And I guess Street Fighter 4 and 5 pretty much play the same. And I realized I really like the 3D one. Just it has like the same exact 2D controls. I think it's just more forgiving. And Street Fighter 4 is really pretty. Like I really like their like inky 3D rendering. I think they do a really good job of that.
I remember it in the promo pictures and stuff, but I think maybe that's why I had such a hard time with it too, because I really haven't played that much Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Like I've played a fair amount of everything else, but
Yep.
Street Fighter is the one that I never really got into it, and there was really no reason. I think once I got used to it, I could probably pull off the combos.
Yeah, I think so. And I definitely like it's hard to translate. I found it hard to go into a cabinet and like translate to a classic joystick. It takes me a little bit to get used to that.
I've only ever played fighters on like a gamepad.
Oh yeah, it's so good in the arcade. A lot of these games are really fun in the arcade, but it's not better or worse. It's just different environment feel. Yeah, I'm really excited for Street Fighter 6 though. After
it does look really good.
My gosh,
that one I'll definitely be picking up.
Yeah, like I love how like the multiplayer like lobby is just like an arcade with arcade machines of the game. That's really clever and cute. And I'm digging this whole like this single player like exploration running around a world thing. I think that's going to be a lot because a lot of
my favorite Mortal Kombat game had that feature. Mortal Kombat Armageddon had like a single player, and I wish they would do it more because it was so good. It was so fun.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's interesting because like so we were talking about Street Fighter, which is all Capcom, and we talked about Tekken, which is Namco. But Mortal Kombat, like I think it started off as a Midway game, and it went through a few different developers. And I think Warner Brothers owns it, but I don't know if they hand it off to a developer or two to develop the games, or if they have like the Warner Brothers game studios internally do it. But I know that the rights have transitioned a couple times. But I liked what I played of the new one. I didn't really play the originals very much, so I was pretty unfamiliar with like how to play, honestly.
Yeah.
The new one was fun, and I loved playing as Arnie, as Terminator. That's a great guest character.
Good. I think that the new one is a lot smoother, I think. Because the one before this, I think it was Mortal Kombat. Um, like the one that came out for the 360, that
Mm,
one was really hard. Like
mm.
I never beat that one. Like I never beat Shao Kahn, and I remember watching like oh gosh, who is that old like Rooster Teeth guy that would like just rage at games? What was his name?
Oh my
Or
god, no.
this, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Just
Yeah, yeah,
watching him be absolutely furious at this game for and just scream at it like because it's hard like and it was very difficult. I think this one has a better balance. I do wish I owned it on something other than the Switch because
it
the
was
graphics
definitely.
are kind of poop.
Yeah, they were definitely pretty muddy graphics.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that much of a difference,
That
but I mean
extreme.
like
Like I'm sure
yeah.
it's fine in handheld mode. It's probably fine, but when we threw it up on the TV, yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty.
it
It
just it
was
didn't look very good.
yeah, but like I'm glad you had me play through some of the tutorials and that I kept playing some through the like second, third, fourth round of tutorials because it is. It's funny because it's definitely slower. Reminded me a little bit of like some of the Virtua Fighter games where the action isn't about doing a bunch of things quickly. Like you have to do things really deliberately, almost like
Mhm.
like a classic Castlevania game, but just as a fighter. But there was a lot of technical bits to it that I had to learn in order to be even remotely competitive with you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because we went into Street Fighter, and I don't think I won a single game of Street Fighter.
I'm so sorry.
And then whatever, like you didn't believe me when I said I was like pretty good at fighting games. And then whatever we played next, I like wiped. I don't remember if we played
I
Calibur
think
or
we probably
Tekken
played a
next,
bit of Soul Calibur. Yeah,
and I
yeah.
just wiped the floor.
Yeah, you were definitely you found your characters that like punished. Like you just like didn't let me get like a word in edgewise. I did win a few rounds, but it was
You did.
definitely like skin of my teeth. Like we were both low on health a lot of the
Hmm.
times, and that was cool. It was good to
Yeah.
have a challenge. But
We
yes,
definitely either like wiped the floor with each other, or it was like a very even match.
yeah, that's so yeah. I'm really glad you showed me some Mortal Kombat because like it's not an aesthetic that I would really find too appealing.
I
Like
just love it.
I don't.
So
It definitely looks like
it's so
it
much
looks
more metal than the others,
it
and it's just
is. It
it's
definitely
pretty
is.
self-aware too. Like all of the like the combat, like K, like everything is it, like if there's a C in the game, it's not. It's a
Oh yeah,
K.
you have to go to the configuration
The
screen with a K.
coins,
Yes, that's
character
hilarious.
creation,
That's it's pretty great. It's pretty
and it's
great.
just it's good. And I really like the range of characters, and
Yeah,
it's definitely my favorite. And that's the one I started playing. Like
nice.
one of the first video games I ever picked up because all of my high school friends played it, and so I'd go to my friends place after school, and
Mm,
we'd be playing Mortal Kombat a lot of the
yeah, I
time.
feel like I've always written off the Mortal Kombat series because I didn't find the digitized photography of sprites of the original games very
I
appealing.
don't like the originals, no.
Yeah, I didn't
I
find it
I didn't
appealing.
start Yeah, I would say it didn't really hit its stride until the PS2.
Mm,
And then like the PS2 era of Mortal Kombat was awesome because they
nice.
had like Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Yep.
They had like a two-player like adventure game called Shaolin Monks that was really cool, and they just haven't really done anything out of the box like that since, which I think is disappointing. I don't know if
Mm,
it's a different developer or like they just wanted to stick with like a more traditional fighting game, but
yeah.
like those out of the box like
Oh,
games
so
were really good.
I have to now that we're talking about like traditional fighting games, like standard fighting. I have to say the weirdo in the group that we played, and I'm so glad that I got you in front of this. Is Lethal League Blaze.
It was fun.
It's the weirdest thing and it's neat. So there was Lethal League, and I forget when these were released, but Team Reptile, they're known for this really awesome cel shaded art style that harkens back to Jet Set Radio. Um, they made this fighting game. It's a baseball. It's a baseballish, like it's almost like playing racquetball, but in like a fighting game trappings. arena. It's it's 1v1, and you hurt your opponent by hitting the baseball at them. And every time you hit the ball, it changes to your color, so you know that it's going to hurt them. And you're hitting it back and forth in very different ways with different combos. And each time you hit it, it gets faster. So this thing is going crazy. I think the characters are super appealing, and so Lethal League Blaze takes the original game and basically is like, yeah, that was a beta test prototype. Here's like the real game, and like it's so much more polished. And they've got like the theme song by Hideki Naganuma, who made the Jet Set Radio themes. And it's just really weird. I've never seen a fighting game like it. It's almost like, I think there was I don't know. There's no fighting game like it. It's just weird. It's cool.
It does feel more like tennis than baseball. Like, I understand like wanting the baseball aesthetic because it's a little more like
stylish.
Yeah, it's a little more stylish. Like, but it definitely feels more like tennis.
Yeah. I'll say that. That's fair. That's what I was kind of saying a little bit like racquetballish, because it does bounce off the sides of the screen. So
I feel like hockey would have been a better choice than baseball. But I guess hockey has a different vibe.
Yeah. But yeah, it's wicked cool. And all the environments for all the levels that you can play on, really interesting. There's a lot going on in the background. And listeners, if you remember our upcoming games episode, I talked about this developer because they are working on the I'm forgetting the name right now, but they're working on the spiritual sequel to Jet Set Radio.
The skateboarding game. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's got skateboarding and rollerblading and all that. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. That's what it is. So yeah, they've just been nailing this aesthetic with like fighting game stuff for a while, and it's neat. I guess the other kind of small dev who made a fighting game is Reverge Lab. Skullgirls.
I liked this one. I had never played it before we played it, and I really like the two, like you can choose whether to have like one super strong character or like two kind of strong characters, three
like
strong-ish characters. Yeah, like it's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and it's another a lot of the games that have neat mechanics I find appealing have like a risk and reward to them. So like you can treat it like a typical tag team battle if you pick multiple characters, or you can try and like dominate with a single character, but you're definitely leaving that like tag team mechanic on the table if you do so. And I think the characters are just really appealing. Like, it's got really high quality animations.
Yeah, I just like the graphics in general. Like, all the character designs are really like they're just it's very different.
And the menus have all this like glitzy golden age Hollywood aesthetic to them too, which is neat.
Yeah.
I think my favorite character was the like crazy little like rubber hose animation girl who just sets all like the traps and stuff, and she just bounces around everywhere. I don't know.
We didn't play that one long enough for me to remember who my favorite was.
Fair enough.
Because it crashed.
Oh,
we played it on my Steam Deck and it crashed.
That's so weird. I've never had. I haven't seen anything crash like that. Yeah, I played it a bit on the PS3 as well, and had a good time. So yeah, I don't know. Oh my gosh, we cannot forget all the Arc System Works games. So funny enough, I was playing the newest Arc System Works games. I think there's like it's like a Blaze Blue tag something or other. And it like combines characters from a whole bunch of their games, and I absolutely hated it.
I brought it with me, and you were like, "Ugh, we're not playing that."
I tried to play it on the PS5, and I just did not have a good time with it at all. Even just like down to like the menus, it has like that weird like you're walking around the menu thing. I don't know. It didn't click with me even in the slightest, and I don't know why, because I love all the other games that they make.
Yeah, I really like Blaze Blue.
Yeah, Blaze Blue's fantastic.
And it's funny too, because I own the tag team game, but I haven't played it. I have played a number of the other ones.
Yeah, and you didn't get a chance to play it because I was like, nope. Veto. Yeah, no, Blaze Blue's great. I really like the like crazy cat girl. There's just a lot of really compelling characters in both Blaze Blue
Hades.
and Guilty Gear. and they almost feel like the same series. I like with a few slight differences to like their visual trappings and like what they
There's
call
only one Faust.
what they call a round. They basically feel like the same game, just with different characters, which I don't hate. I really like
Yeah,
Guilty
I
Gear
agree with that.
because like I played a bunch of Guilty Gear X on the Dreamcast with people back in high school. And which we played like Guilty Gear Xrd, I think.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the older ones. I know it wasn't like the two newest ones. I think it was the one
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Guilty Gear Strive. It looks gorgeous. I love how they got that sort of anime aesthetic down.
Yeah, it looks great.
It does. It does. And I dabbled a little bit with their Dragon Ball Z, just a little bit. And it does the same exact thing that they learned from Strive with their anime aesthetic. But Strive is still like $60, and I unfortunately wasted money on the Street Fighter series like old collection, and I was really disappointed because the Capcom did a terrible job with the presentation. It is the most bare bones, ugly menu ever. And I was really upset that I bought it on PlayStation because you can't get a refund on like Steam. So I didn't want to spend more money on Strive, but I will get it eventually. It's definitely gonna stay on that wish list. After we played Xrd, like you played as like the kid who was just like in the like in a coma in a bed. You were just like playing as
yeah.
Yeah, you beat my ass
too.
as a bed. I love it. It's hilarious.
Great. I mean, it's not the first time I've deeply upset somebody playing a fighting game. My friend, there's this bar. So I've never played a fighting game at an arcade. Like usually if I went to the arcade, it was like a shooter or like DDR or something like that.
That's totally fair. And you have to be there with somebody who's like also totally down for fighting games.
Yeah, exactly. But in Maine, in Portland, there's this bar called Barcadia.
Oh, I love Barcadia.
And I do too, yeah. They have pinball machines, and then in the back they had, this is a few years ago, so they had like an Xbox One and a PS4 in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend and I, we'd already been there like before, got drinks, went to a concert, drank more, and then came back to the bar for more drinks. So we were already like very, very gone at that point. And he and I are chatting, and he just hands me the controller, and I'm still carrying on a conversation, and I just wipe the floor with him. And he just like throws his hands up in the air and gives the controller to this like poor unsuspecting man who I'm still carrying on a conversation with my friend, and I wiped the floor with him, and then nobody wanted to play with me after that.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that story. That's great.
Like, really?
Yeah. No, I think some of my favorite, especially with some of the a lot of the 2D fighting games, especially, I think my favorite memories were either growing up playing with brothers because they're just there and they'll just play games with you forever until you're both sick of it, and you'll learn the fighting moves and all that from the commands list. You just pause it. Let me look at my moves. The only one I ever
really learned was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
and that was the game that I beat my friend that in that story. It's always Mortal Kombat. That's the one that I am like the most comfortable with.
Yeah, hey, that's the one you got down. That's where your your fighting spirit lives.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And
yeah.
Mutaro. Not really. I don't mind Mutaro, but he's just, I don't know if you know his character design. He's basically a centaur kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Or like the bull version of a centaur.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like a minotaur?
Minotaur, that's what he is. Yeah, that's correct.
Gotcha.
And he had like in one of the older games, he had like a charge attack.
Nice.
So whenever you charged it, like my friends and I would just yell, Mutaro. And then just let loose.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Yes. So there's a whole bunch of fighting games that were like mid 90s Sega fighting games. I played a lot of these on the Sega Saturn. There's Virtua Fighter, which I don't really like. It's really slow and deliberate. I did have fun playing it, but it's never going to be my first pick. Fighting Vipers is a little bit better because it's Virtua Fighter, but instead of ring out, there's like an arena, and like the characters are a little bit more urban instead of like traditional martial artists, and it's just a little bit more interesting. And then I think the best one of this batch is Sonic the Fighters.
Is that the one we played?
It is the one we played. Yes, because that one did get remade for the PS3. And Sonic the Fighters is way more appealing than it should be. And it is totally because it was like an arcade game that stayed in the arcade. Like, it doesn't have any home port jank or anything. Like, it's got the weird square polygons going on. It's got really gorgeous backgrounds, and just they gave it like this sort of like, I don't know, they gave it that like 1920s like there was a lot of stretch and bounce and just good animation principles to it. Very cartoony. Like the characters spin dashed and bounced around, and Amy Rose has her big old hammer, and I don't know, it was really cute. I think the characters are all really silly and cute, and I don't know, I had a good time. I think it's way more fun than it has any right to be. I don't know how you felt about it, but
it was cute. Like,
yeah.
it was definitely cute. I think it definitely showed its age, but it was also, I mean, you play something like that because it's dumb and cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You're not like,
Yeah.
This Sonic the Fighters is not going to Evo.
No.
There's no meta. It's just a silly time. And then they did take that and make like a sort of Fighters Mega Mix compilation on the Saturn. That was really neat. It's more fun when you unlock characters, of course, like most of these. That's the one thing I have a problem with most of these home ports, is that there are characters locked behind the single player, which is total BS. I cannot stand that. And like, there was just characters we couldn't play because I hadn't spent like 30 hours by myself, which is a weird thing. You know, you should just be able to have all the characters in versus mode. Like, have characters be locked in single player. That's fine.
I don't know. I kind of like having a goal to work towards, but also, like, I mean, I'm thinking because again, Armageddon was like that, but it was like a good length. Like, it didn't take that long to go through.
Yeah.
So it was like reasonable.
Gotcha. And then the other thing I have to mention that I did show you a little bit of is just that, like, there was a bunch of fighting games on the Neo Geo Pocket and Neo Geo Pocket Color afterwards. They're just all these little silly like 2-button fighters because there were only 2 buttons. And I think the reason why they worked out well enough is that the Neo Geo Pocket has like that really nice clicky 8-way micro switch joystick, and that really worked really well, so that you knew exactly what combos you were doing and like what registered as down. You didn't have to guess if you hit down correctly because it made a click. It's click 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 click. Which is interesting. And I think last year they took a bunch of SNK made the Neo Geo Pocket Color in like all of these fighting games. So it's like little handheld versions of Samurai Showdown and King of Fighters and The Last Blade and Fatal Fury. And so yeah, last year they took in 2021 they took a whole bunch of these Neo Geo Pocket Color games, and they released like a Steam collection of them, which is really neat. There's a handful of really cool non-fighting games like your Metal Slugs and stuff on there too, but I just think it was really interesting that they put those on there. So I don't know, just shout out to the Neo Geo Pocket having the weirdest collection of games for any system, like fighting game handheld.
I think they recently remade, or I think it's a new game, the SNK Heroines game for the Switch. It's like a tag team type game.
Neat.
I haven't played it, but
yeah, that harkens back.
It's been on my radar.
That harkens back to the old, they had the SNK Gals Fighter, which is the handheld. It was all girls fighting game, which was really neat. So yeah, there's just a bunch of really silly fighting games on there. I even have like the Japanese only like Mega Man fighting game, which is less of a fighting game and more of just like a boss rush.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I played a ton of fighting games, and it all reminded me why I love all these fighting games. But I will say there was one fighting game I just didn't love, and I wanted to.
I remember liking it more the first time I played it.
Yeah, Pokken. I'm a little sad.
Yeah.
It's really complicated in a way that, like, I don't know why.
It's more like I never played the Pokemon. What is it? Pokemon Arena. That's not the name of the game. Pokemon Coliseum.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like an updated version of that because I never played Coliseum.
I thought Coliseum was just like Pokemon Stadium but newer, and I just never got into it.
I didn't play either of them, so I don't know. This is just what I imagine those to be. Like an open stadium where it like you have an open ring and you're able to beat up another Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping because it was called Pokken that I thought it would be more like Tekken, but just with like Pokemon skins for the
Yeah, I
fighters.
think that's what I thought when I bought it originally. And like
Yeah.
before I brought it to your place, I had played it, but not in like a couple of years.
Mm.
And any of the progress I had was lost when I had to send my Switch back
Oh no.
for like to be fixed,
Like
which happened pretty soon after I bought it, but
yeah, I do really like the Pokemon selection they had for the fighters. Like
yeah.
some of them, like you wouldn't think of immediately as a fighting game because, like Chandelure, like okay, there's no kicking, but there's like the two lanterns you could punch with, I guess.
Set
Uh,
them on fire.
right, it is really cute, but like there's the
Great
whole like
quality.
pick your support Pokemon, and then you got to do this technical thing, and
Yeah.
I feel like more than any of the other fighting games on this list, I didn't know what I was doing, like at all, any of the time. Like I
I
was
think
like,
that can be part of the fun though. But yeah, I
yeah,
understand what you mean.
and it definitely has like it has sort of that newer Pokemon. It's funny the menus and the trapping all kind of felt a bit like the new Pokemon Snap, in an interesting way, in a way that like I think that it's high quality, but it's visually busy. And I think that in
Yeah, I
general,
can see that.
the Pokken tournament was just very busy visually. I couldn't like imagine streaming this like as an esports game. Like I loved watching professional Tekken on TV. That was
Yeah.
super cool to watch. People do amazing stuff. But I couldn't imagine following a Pokken game. I don't know. No, I couldn't imagine Nintendo allowing it to show up on esports or Evo or whatever, since
They'd have to have their own.
they won't even let Smash play at Evo.
Yeah.
Boo.
God,
Um,
Nintendo. So stingy.
uh,
Ugh.
but yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with all these fighting games, and
Yeah.
just yes, so much yes. And I know I'm super excited. Oh yeah, they dropped a new trailer. So yes, they dropped a new trailer for Street Fighter 6, but they also dropped like a teaser for Tekken 8, and I'm super stoked. Like there's nothing about the teaser that made it look any different from 7, I will say, but it was because it was just like a match from the middle of the game. But it was really pretty. And if it's more of the same that 7 gave us, I'm okay with that because 7 was actually really good.
I think as much as I say that I prefer the PlayStation 2 era of Mortal Kombat, like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I don't necessarily mind just playing like a different version of a game with like more characters, like maybe updated stories.
Same.
Like I definitely don't mind that. Like that's like it's like the one genre. Like I don't like Call of Duty because I feel like they're all the same. It's like the same game every year.
Right.
Assassin's Creed did the same thing. Yep, let's just copy paste release the same thing.
I definitely think that like Tekken has hit its stride and that it needs to keep staying the course. And I think that with Capcom, Street Fighter 5 was almost the exact same thing as Street Fighter 4, and so them doing something a little bit more interesting with 6 makes sense. Like it makes sense. Like it's the
genre,
right
it's like
time.
Okay and acceptable.
Right. You just want small tweaks to the formula because there's so much technical stuff going on with all the hitboxes and hurtboxes and frame timing, and people learn it. And if you shake that up too much, then you lose your clout. And if you lose your clout, you lose your fan base. And so like balancing that has got to be hard for any developer who's on top. But like whatever, they're on top. And they seem to know to stay the course and not mess up. I haven't seen a fighting game like really mess up and just like ruin its own fan base. I don't remember the last time that's happened. So
yeah, I guess I don't either.
Yeah, I feel like fighting game developers like know what genre they're in, which is great. So anyway, I can't hold any more fighting game knowledge. I think that's where I've got to stop because my brain is just teeming, and I just want to go fight now. I want to go like not for real, maybe a little bit adrenaline. No, but
I think I would pay to see that.
Oh, pay to see your friend get beat up.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd help you. But...
Oh, great. Okay, that's fine as long as we're tag teaming. So yeah, I don't know. What's on your docket for playing until next episode?
Maybe I'll still get around to Doom Eternal. Still haven't played it. Still installed. I think it's just a running joke at this point, but I will play it. I did download Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings game.
That's the second one, I think, right?
Oh no, sorry. I downloaded Shadow of Mordor. Like I
Mm,
own both of them, but I haven't played either of them.
gotcha.
And with the Lord of the Rings, like uh Amazon show,
Yep.
I've always been interested. Like I've been a Lord of the Rings fan freak since I was like very young,
Oh, I
probably
get
like
that.
13.
It's totally the same thing that happened to me with playing some Castlevania games because I was inspired when the anime came out.
Oh
Like
my
when
god,
there's a
the anime was so good.
I know. When there's a show, it just like
Yeah.
brings life back into it and like revives your interest. So that's cool.
I still haven't decided if I like the the Amazon show yet. I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's been kind of slow. It's been okay. I don't hate it.
Mm,
But also like I feel like it is not the thing you want to get lore wrong with.
yeah.
Just because of how intentional Tolkien was when he wrote everything. Um and having a pretty decent knowledge base of the lore. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, but yeah, those
Um
Shadow of games have been very highly regarded for
yeah.
their like Nemesis systems and all that stuff. So that's neat.
Yep. So I'm gonna play Shadow of War, and then a game that I had kickstarted called Temtem.
Oh, this is the Pokemon like game, right?
Yeah. So I played a little bit when it was in beta, or yeah, it was in beta. And then I put it down just because like there wasn't much to do. I feel like they've opened the game up a lot more now, so I'm giving it another shot.
No,
Um,
is this a single player game?
it's an MMO kind of.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like I think it's like an MMO light.
Mm,
Because you can like fight and trade with other players, but like I don't know if there's like guilds there. I know there's PvP.
okay.
So I don't know. It's
So not a ton more multiplayer than like standard Pokemon with battle towers and trading, global trading stuff.
I think they make it easier.
Yeah.
They make it easier, and like you can see people in the wild, you
Oh,
see other
that's neat.
players.
Okay, so that is a little bit more.
Yeah, like you see the players and their little temtems following them. So I'm gonna give it another shot. I installed it again on my computer. I got my Switch code for it. It's crossplay, and I'm ready to go.
Nice.
What about you?
I don't know. I think I've got a few games that have just been sitting in my backlog on my quest, like the Vader Immortal chapters 2 and 3. Played the first one and I liked it. I just haven't gotten around to the second one. Um, I'm really tempted to buy the new Return to Monkey Island. It looks really fun. It's got the returning voice cast, and like I love that voice cast so much. So I'm tempted. I'm definitely playing through a bunch of spooky games that I've had on my backlog or that I've acquired recently. And you know, not to spoil too much about what's going on in spooky games land coming up, but I'm playing through Costume Quest 2. I loved the first one and I just need to finish the second game. I've always been like, oh, it needs to be the right time. It needs to be the right mood. It has to be fall. Like I've been like so about needing it to be the right time to play it, and now is the right time to play it. So I'm going through that and having a blast.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're about to get into spooky season, so probably a spoiler alert for what's coming up.
Hopefully. Yeah. Cool. Well, listeners, I hope that you guys had an awesome time talking about some great knuckle dusting fighting games.
Yeah, go out fight some. No, don't kidding. Don't go out and fight anybody. I guess unless you're into that, but probably don't. Don't get arrested, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's legit.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time.
Bye.